Welcome to Conversate, our podcast where we engage in conversation. And on this week's episode, Aaron, and Kevin are talking about the redemption of our bodies. The fact that we were created as humans in flesh and bones, body and soul. And that is who we will be for all of eternity. At the day of Christ's return, when we rise from the dead, we will be made new, glorified bodies, never to die again, never to be subject to sin again. But in this conversation, we're going to talk about the implications of that, and that's not just something we look forward to in the future, but it also has implications for the way that we live even today. So, as always, it's our goal in this podcast that you'll take something that you hear in this conversation and then start another conversation with somebody else. As always, we hope you enjoy this conversation. Kevin.
Aaron.
Hey, buddy.
Morning, dude. Oh, I thought you said, hey, bunny, and then I looked for bunnies on your shirts.
Oh, no, this isn't my bunny shirt.
Oh, what would you call those emblems?
Snowflakes.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. I just said that. Look at I have a tan line? No, it looks like it on the camera.
Yeah, it does.
I was out in the sun this week.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
It's been sunny.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Getting out in the yard and doing some stuff. I pulled a bunch of weeds. Then my kids they were saying like, Dad, don't pull that. Because they have like flowers.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's a weed if you don't like it, and they're like, but we like those ones. And I'm saying like pull weeds, but basically look at this flower bed that's just like out of control. Mm-hmm. And so some of it's even just like putting stuff back where it belongs. Well, or even, I don't know. I'm not like
particular pieces of dirt that belong over there.
No. But like a flower that's spread,
Oh, I see. I got
and
you.
like
I'm with you.
It's like here, but it's just overgrown and like too big. So like just even trimming it back and kind of putting it in its place and stuff. And the
organized.
My kids are like, Dad, you can't do that. Why are you ripping up? That's the one that we're keeping. And I'm like, well, it's like giving it a haircut, like, putting it back. So
it's always the one that you rip up. That's the one they wanted.
Yeah.
I got in trouble both from my daughter and from my wife for mowing yesterday. My daughter, because I mowed over the dandelions. My wife, this was a little more understandable. So speaking of weeds, lupine is not a weed.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you know what lupine is.
It's protected or something.
Well, no, it's just a really nice flower. There's a book called The Lupine Lady. Molly loves that book. Okay. We got lupine in our front yard. It looks like a weed. Yeah. Until it blooms, I guess.
Is it in your grass?
Not anymore.
Were you supposed to mow around it?
I was not supposed to mow it at all. Yeah.
Well, that's what
I killed some lupine.
That's what we end up with, like, because we live next to a big field and it's got tons of wildflowers, which is beautiful. But then they migrate into the yard and stuff, and so I was getting the lawnmower going, and Phoebe goes, "Quick, we got to dig up all the flowers so we can save them before Dad comes." I was like, "There's right there, right on the other side of the retaining wall.
Tons.
There's as many as you want. This one does not need to be here."
Yeah.
Anyways, but
well, good man.
No, it's fun. It's been my wife and youngest son were out of town to celebrate her dad's birthday, 70th birthday. So, so they had it in Minnesota. So I had my three oldest kids on my own. So we did some different stuff and took them fishing one evening down in the canal, which we've done a couple of times and stuff, and with like no success. But and we were getting ready to leave, and Max said, "This is gonna be my last cast." And he casts it, and he goes, "Dad, I think I have a fish." I was like, "Really, buddy?" And I went over, and I was like, "Yeah, you do." And he pulled in a really big northern pike. So,
nice.
Yeah, so we brought it home and cleaned it up and ate it. And,
that's the best, man.
Yeah, it was super fun.
That is super fun.
Yeah,
and northerns are fun to fish for, man. They're very active.
Yeah, big fish.
Yeah, and
so that was I think 2 days ago, and then last night they were like, "Can we go again?" So they got the bug, so that's fun.
Nice.
Yeah,
we have not done any fishing yet. I gotta work on that. Every now and then we get to the end of the summer up here, and I asked someone how their summer was. You know, they talk a lot about fishing. And I'm like, yep, didn't make it out. They're just like, what? How is that possible?
Yeah, well, it's I don't know if you can. I don't know. Anyway, I was gonna say you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I'm doing a legal loophole here, but so I still haven't gotten a fishing license.
Got it.
Because kids can fish for free as long as they have an adult with them.
Nice.
As long as the kids are active participants in the fishing, then the adult can just help and supervise. And I'm like, I got 3 young kids fishing. Like, that's all I'm doing is helping. Like, there'd be no time for me to fish anyways. So
right.
So far, I don't have a license.
That sounds legit. Sounds legit.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't be the one to ask, but well, it's good, Aaron, that you were able to do all of those things this weekend.
Yeah.
Because you have a body.
I do have a body. I do. My body's beat up.
Yeah, feeling it?
Well, no. I mean, got cuts and scrapes and
I just got about 1 million mosquito bites.
Oh yeah,
they are a nuisance at our place right now.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Yeah, my daughter Hazel woke up this morning and said that she woke up in the middle of the night last night and was up for a while because of her mosquito bites. Oh, poor kid.
We thought William had a sprained ankle because it's swollen.
Yeah,
we're not sure if it's a sprained ankle or just a massive mosquito bite.
Yeah. Phoebe's got one on her forehead. She got it on the prayer trail on Sunday here. Just big welt.
Yeah, like a growth. It's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, so yes, we do have bodies
for better and worse.
Yeah. We can do a lot of good with them, but they are also subjected to the brokenness of the world, right? Yeah. And that was the theme for this last Sunday, as we keep talking about the resurrection of Jesus. We're, I don't know if I was going to say we're finally at this point, but there's been a progression as we've been going through these themes, kind of starting with like a wide angle lens, start talking about the creation being good, the creation being redeemed, the new heavens, the new earth. Now we've been kind of getting to the place where we're talking about, okay, Jesus will come again. Last week, that when he comes, what's going to happen when he comes? He'll judge the living and the dead. When he comes, he'll redeem our bodies. That was the theme this last week. So,
so it's getting more personal as we go along here.
Yeah.
How does this personally affect me? Yes.
Yeah.
You have a body.
You do.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things I said at my sermon, as I was talking about the resurrection of the body, that when Christ comes again, you will live in flesh and bones. In a glorified, perfected way. Yeah. Never to be subject to sin or death again. So what does that mean? What does that look like? We don't necessarily know. There are some theologians and thinkers that have gone way too far into this and said, well, Jesus was 30 and died and rose when he was 33, so we'll probably be like Jesus. We'll be like in the prime of our life when
we'll be 33 years old. Exactly. Hey,
dude,
that's coming up for me.
Yeah, you feel like you're in the prime of your life?
Kind of. Other than I'm more sore when I wake up than I used to be.
It only gets worse.
Well, that's what I hear. But yeah. So we don't want to get that. We don't want to make claims that we really can't support,
right?
Because it's not like Jesus says you're going to be my age when you at the resurrection. But go ahead.
And swole, as we talked about last week, you'll be nice and buff.
Not from mosquito bites, either. But we can say with a great deal of confidence that will our bodies be? Will we be recognized as the people we are in this life right now? When they saw Jesus, they did immediately recognize him, like in the garden, right? Now, okay, how did the grief impact all that? Was she blinded by grief? What about the guys on the road? They were kept from seeing Jesus, did he look? He certainly looked a lot different than Friday, other than the scars on his hands.
Right. But he did have those scars too, which is interesting.
That is, yeah. But so, at the very least, we can say, you're going to have a body.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a different body. It's not like you get somebody else's body.
Right.
But it's a perfected body. And so there's a lot of space or a gap there that we just can't really say a lot of definite things about.
Right. And just like the creation, It'll be a restored, renewed creation. And yet the Bible also talks about a new heaven and a new earth. Not like brand new, not like
fundamentally
something
different
than
Right.
this, but new in the sense of like
renewed,
like this is a new day, you know,
Yeah,
like
fresh.
yeah, like that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So,
Which, you know, as I even think about my own body,
yeah.
there are things that I continue to discover about it that I didn't necessarily know, you know? There are things like even for those who seem the most, say, fit or seem in the best health, there can be things going on under the surface you're not even aware of. You know, conditions you discover later in your life that either you've developed or maybe they were there, you know, from the get-go and now are just manifesting symptoms. What we can say about the new creation is that part of you will not be there. I mean, the brokenness we experience in our bodies is all, as you alluded to earlier, a reflection of the fall.
Yeah. I mean, I have to wear glasses. My shoulder hurts, you know? It's like,
I think of the paraplegic, you know, someone who, and we see this in Jesus' ministry, right? He goes around and people who have never, you know, been lame from birth, have not been able to use body parts from birth in the resurrection. If that's you, you get to run around. You get to leap.
Yeah.
If you were blind, you get to see now. If you, I don't know. I had a bunch of broken arms.
yeah, you did.
I hope I get to keep the scars from those because I like telling the stories.
Yeah.
But my left elbow is it's slightly like bonier. I don't know how to put it. It juts out right here,
Oh,
and
I see it.
I bang it on stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it hurts.
Yeah. So get rid of that.
Yeah, get rid of that. Maybe my teeth won't be so. But do you think I'll have perfect teeth in heaven?
Dude, I don't know.
All right, sorry.
All right. So, so I made a couple statements in the sermon, and one that I've learned to find great hope and contentment in is the fact that my body matters right now. Like my whole self was created by God,
Right.
Not just something inside of me, but but me. Like I'm me. Right. And so when I look at the hand, like my hands, and you know, and I don't know if you can do this like with your family, like look at your mom and your dad's hands and see like components of them. Like, you know, there's these uniquenesses where it's like nobody's you except you. And that's all of you in your body and in your character, your identity, all of these things. And so like, you know, I mentioned in my sermon, like we've grown up in a culture and a world that sort of said your body doesn't really matter. And this is really predominant in our world. And, you know, especially right now, and I don't mean especially right now, but right now you see this a lot, this conversation happening a lot. And I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but the whole idea of like, well, even like transgenderism and this idea like that you're not really what your body says that you are. Like you're something different, and you can run in contrast to the physicality of your body. Like that's not, I mean, it's just not, it doesn't really jive with reality, and it doesn't jive with creation. It doesn't jive with the Bible, definitely. Well, and that God made you, all of you. And
well, and here's where the concepts, I mean, even that we've talked already, like about the fall, also apply. I'm reading a book right now about gender dysphoria, and what I'm discovering is that for some people, so absolutely there is a sort of tidal wave in our culture that is saying, yeah, basically, whoever you are on the inside, you know, that's the real you, and just listen to that little voice, and he'll tell you everything you need to know about yourself, and make decisions, potentially make decisions that might affect your body in pretty drastic ways. Be very wary of that sort of a commentary in the world, because whatever voices you're listening to inside yourself aren't reliable.
Well, that's all. It's also subject to the fall.
Yes.
Your reason, your thinking, that's all It's all sinful and broken too, just like your body. So,
Right. And so, so yeah, be careful to catch on to that. But however, what I'm discovering through this reading is that there are people who, one, who have like physically ambiguous sexual body parts.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's really tough for them then, because what God created in the beginning, this clear, division between male and female, for them is ambiguous.
Yeah.
Now we would say that is not, that is an evidence of the brokenness of life now.
Absolutely.
Right. And so for them, I think it's not as clear cut in terms of, well, how do I reckon with this, Well,
yeah, but I mean, it's the same. I mean, you get people born with cerebral palsy and people born with autism. I mean, there's all these different issues where we're born and we can't, it's just, we're born into the brokenness of this world, and that manifests itself in all sorts of ways.
Right.
And that's a point, even in our bodies.
Yep.
Right. And we're all born with some sort of, we're born into this world physically broken. We're born into this world spiritually broken. We're born into this world as broken people.
Right.
My kids are born into this world with allergies and eczema. It's like, that sucks. So these bodies, they break. They're subject to sin. And so, needless to I know why you're saying that. We're not insensitive to that reality. But the point is, all of this, you are a human.
Yes.
You are a human, and God
Body
made you
and soul.
Yeah, God made you to be a human. He didn't make you to be a dog.
Yes.
You're not a cat.
Which, unfortunately, I will say that actually is, even today. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say that, but there are people who, this is much more niche, I think, but who are identifying as animals.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that's what you were, the demographic you were thinking.
No,
of.
I was not. I wasn't going to go there. I was just literally saying.
Yes. But this is the craziness of the time that we live in. That should be abundantly obvious, right to us? And even that is not agreed upon.
If you deny the physicality, if you deny physical and just go to
what
some
I feel
inner
inside.
self feeling, then you can be whatever you want to be if that's what your whole worldview is.
That's right. If that's where you find your source of all truth, or truth for me.
So we are speaking biblically here. Sure, you can go down into a scientific realm and all these things, but just biblically speaking, God is creator. God created everything. And he created everything with a unique role, a unique purpose, and a unique place. And if you're listening to this podcast, you are a human, unless you're sleeping on your dog bed in the corner while your master is listening to this podcast, who happens to be a human.
So all you dogs out there.
Woof, woof. Sorry. All right. So we get the point. You're human. And that's good.
Yeah. That's the best, actually.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in the creation account, right, you have even the angels, right, the heavenly beings who are created prior to humanity.
Yeah.
But they're not considered the crown of God's creation. They have powers, you might say, that are above what we have, and yet...
Or different.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm just jealous. Grass is greener. But God, God says no. That the last thing He has created, that's the thing He's going to kind of orient His whole redemptive story around. I mean, Jesus doesn't come down as an angel. He comes down as a human, flesh and bones.
Yep.
And that's, I think, where we would ultimately say, why our bodies matter. God took one Himself. We can never minimize the body because Jesus was one. Yeah.
And is. Somehow, still.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, this is I'm going to do it really quickly, but this is the biblical arc, right? not the ark, not
ARC.
Not Noah's ark.
ARC, not ARK.
There you go. The biblical ark, the biblical story. God created, and He created humanity in His image, and they were in their bodies, right? And male and female, He created them. And it was very good. When sin entered the world, brokenness entered the world, and brokenness and sin is separation. And so, as we see in Genesis 3, that this brokenness affects things. It affected the relationship between Adam and Eve. It affected their purpose in creation, made it all painful and toilsome, and it eventually will affect their own life. From dust you are, and to dust you shall return. Right? Out of dust you were created, and to it you will return when you die. And that's the last thing that God says about the results of the fall. And so it's basically like this. All right, our relationship with people is broken, our relationship with God is broken, our relationship with the creation is broken, and our relationship to ourselves
it's broken.
It's all broken.
Yeah.
And so you'll die. And so Jesus came into the world, and this is skipping a lot. Jesus came into the world, God in the flesh. God, the Word, became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and truth. Jesus lived a perfect life, died, was put in the ground. He rose from the dead, defeating death, risen from the dead, fulfilling everything that we could not do on our own. And one day He will come back to fully put back together everything that sin broke apart, including our bodies and our relationship with the creation, our relationship with one another, and our relationship with God.
There it is. Yeah.
So our bodies they're it's all part of that. It's all part of that restoration process. So it's just really important for us to really get this right. Otherwise I think we go grasping for stuff, like, and trying to look for hope in all the wrong places. And I mentioned in my sermon, like, I don't know if you resonated with this, but I said, like, if we just think that the whole point is like live, suffer, kind of go through the motions, die, and get out of here, and it's sort of like having a case of senioritis.
Yeah.
Did you ever have senioritis?
Oh, I absolutely had senioritis as a junior, even
in high school.
Yeah. Definitely in high school. A little bit in college. Now, it wasn't as bad as high school. Not so much at seminary. I was kind of like, well, except once the pandemic hit, because the pandemic hit my final semester. Dude, then it was over. That was done. I couldn't make the transition to online learning. It was not good. But right. So instead of sort of appreciating today, instead of putting my skills and abilities and the things God has gifted me with to use today, there's sort of a mentality we can have, especially when we think of heaven as that, a place totally different from here, that we kind of say, forget this place. I just want to get there. I don't really want to be involved in today. I don't want to even be here today. I just want to be there. And so, part of this whole sermon series has been, as we reconsider and rethink new creation, what does heaven mean? What does resurrection mean? We've kind of been bringing the future into the now. So when you think about our bodies, what are some ways that you think, what are some ways that you're like, well, this is how I can sort of live into my future glory, the future reality of the new creation in the now? How does this shape your approach to like bodily living today?
Yeah, I mean, all of it.
What are some tangible things?
No, I will give you something, but I mean, it does affect the way that I treat my body as an individual right now. Like, I desire to tend to this body.
Yeah.
So I exercise it, try to nourish it well, try to get good sleep, try to not be,
it's a huge one,
not live in an anxious state of mind and be stressed out all the time, but try to live at peace and to live at peace with other people. So, treat this thing as a temple of the Holy Spirit that it actually is.
Yeah.
Your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit. And then that ought to then reflect who God is, back to him, but then also to the world. So, so I live in my body, reflecting back to God, my creator, that I'm so glad you created me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to tend to this thing. Thank you. And then as I live in the world, that same sort of mentality is, hey, I'm in this world and not as God, but as like
an image bearer.
Yeah, a physical representation of God. Like the moon.
Right.
The
We can
moon
only
is not
see the moon because of
the sun.
Yep.
The moon is not the sun.
Yep.
I'm not God, but God has made himself known to me and to the world through me.
That's right.
Right? Jesus says, let your good works be seen by man, that they may glorify your Father who is in heaven.
Yeah. Right.
So that whole idea.
That one hits me actually, because I think I used to, my card's on the table. I definitely, in my Christian faith, in my Christian walk, I used to dream about heaven as something very different than the new creation. And it's sort of this place that I'm just looking forward to, and I can't wait to get out of here, So that was kind of my trajectory. And I used to see physical labor as sort of this is something I got to deal with now. I'm living on this earth, and I got to toil. The fall, toiling. But what a gift it is to have legs that can get you up in the morning, and to have arms and hands that can pick up things and do work. Talk about doing work in the yard and stuff this Memorial Day weekend. Like, it really is a gift to be able to go out and make a space look beautiful.
Well, yeah, and there's something to that. I've got scrapes and things, and while I was doing it, I was sweating, and I wasn't really enjoying the process. But then I step back and look at it, and you go, yeah, and that was okay. I was doing this. That's doing good, holy work.
It's as simple and as dirty, as that is. That is really a reflection of God. When God created the world, they were gardeners, They were out there doing this kind of labor.
Right. And so you think, I was thinking about it, and it's sort of like, why does anybody care? Why does anybody care about mowing their yard?
Right.
Why does anybody care about the way their flower beds look? Why does anybody care about any of this stuff?
Yeah. And you get kind of cynical about it, right? It's easy to get that way.
Well, I'm not being cynical. Well, I'm sorry. What I'm saying is, thinking through it, the point is, people do care because that's what
they've been designed.
What they've been designed to do.
Exactly.
Whether they know it or not, it's sort of things are supposed to have a place.
Yeah.
Things are supposed to be ordered a certain way and function in a certain kind of way.
Right.
And so when we see things in disorder or disarray, it's that doesn't seem right. We should work on that and fix that. And that's because God designed things with an order, not to be in disorder, disarray, or chaos or confusion. And so those are all results of the fall. And so when we're working on putting those things back together, then we're actually doing good, holy work, what we're designed to do.
Yeah, and it feels good.
Yeah.
It really does. When you get done with it, you're like, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
Kind of a toil.
Well, I wanted to read it verbatim. I was going to quote it, but I was going to miss a word. But I mentioned 1 Corinthians 15 a few times in my sermon, that's a place that you can go to read about the resurrection of Jesus.
That's right.
And our resurrection.
Wait, where is it?
1 Corinthians 15.
Oh, okay.
But the last verse of it, 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. So when you're holding on to Jesus, and you're doing what he created you to do, it's not in vain.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of it, he said, of 1 Corinthians 15, he said, if Christ has not been raised, then
It is in vain.
it is in vain. But if Jesus has been raised from the dead, then that means you too will rise from the dead. That means death has no sting over you. Therefore, live now in light of that resurrection hope. Live now to the best of your ability, as though you're already new, as though,
You are.
yeah, as though resurrection has already come, even though it hasn't come fully. Live in Christ. And when you do that, your labor is not in vain. And so the things that you do in this life actually have eternal significance.
That's right.
The things we do in this life have eternal significance.
As you bring order in whatever ways that you do to the chaos that's in this world, you are participating in what God is working towards for the whole creation.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to think. We get to contribute to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of times we just think like, well, we're just sort of passive participants in this thing, or we have a very like individualistic
That's what I was just thinking.
mindset where it's just like the whole point of this living is just about me. Now I'm not sure I'll try to live selflessly, but really I'm just concerned about me and get into my afterlife.
Exactly. If we view it as like I think at its worst, it's like this life is a test, and I got to pass the test before God so that I can make my way into heaven. And it's like, no,
yeah,
that's not really the core of it. The core is you've been, given life into this huge community of people whom God has created, all of, and hey, why don't you come be a part of what I'm doing in it?
right.
Yeah.
Right. So, bodies matter. and again, like this may sound weird to some of you. If you've always thought like, all I'm trying to do as a Christian is kind of get by and get out of here and believe in Jesus so that when I die, I can go to heaven. If that's sort of been the end of your arc, the end of your story, we just want you to know that there's more to the story. Like you're not designed to just die, and resurrection does not just mean your body going into the ground and your soul going to heaven.
Right.
No, we're gonna go to that place next week, and we're gonna talk about what does happen when we die, because that's the question everybody's
Curious about. Yeah.
And my answer's probably going to disappoint. But spoiler alert. Because the point of the Bible is you're going to live.
Yeah.
You're going to live forever.
So go live today.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that a good word?
That's a good word, man.
All right. Sweet. We'll end it there then.
Cheers, buddy.